To sit down with yourself and really see how did this all begin? Where did your lack of self-love or self-esteem come from? When did you first start feeling as if you weren't worthy enough? What came about? What happened? Is it because of what you heard, or where did this all begin? And then once you figured that first point out, now you need to ask yourself, is it
Hello and welcome to Kitchen Table Advice. My name is Paula and I am the host of this podcast. This podcast is a place where you can ask for any advice you want. It can be relationship, both platonic or romantic, career advice, or life advice. I wanted to create a space where people could ask questions without fear of rejection. I can't guarantee it will be good advice, but I can guarantee there will be no shame on my end. Your name will be anonymous and your identity will always be kept a secret. This is not professional advice, and I am not a licensed therapist or psychologist, and you are under no obligation to take this advice. Just think of this as advice you would get from a close friend on a kitchen table. So, let's begin.
Hello, listeners. We are back. I am so happy. For you guys, it's probably not been that long, but for me, it's been a while. So I'm so glad to be back. I was a bit sick. Maybe you can still hear it in my voice or not. I don't know. But yeah, if I sound a little bit funny, I'm just recovering from the flu. It took a toll, but we're back. We're healthy. We're better than ever. So we're just going to jump into the first story of the episode. And this one is kind of interesting. It's from a man. And the title is, How Can I Learn to Love Myself as a Man with No Self-Esteem? So let's go. Hey, I am a 24-year-old man and I have pretty low self-esteem, I would say. It's just a classic lack of confidence some guys have. Parentheses, I'm sure you've met some of them before. Guys who say, no girl will ever want to be with me. I mean, why would she? Or, I can't do anything right. Or, I am I even good at anything? Etc. Sounds familiar? Yep, that's me. It's no fun at all. I'm really lost and I don't believe in myself. Now, I know that women fall for confident men. That's very true. And I'm extremely far from that. Probably mess up a lot of lady boners whenever I meet someone new. It's been the same story for the past few women I've met. It'll be a really slow start because I'm an introvert. And then once they warm up to me, they'll spill everything, like everything. Family, friends, cat, goal, ambitious, relationship, marriage, etc. I don't know why, but I've been told I'm a great listener. Okay, that's a really good place to be at. Okay, let's continue. People feel like they can confide anything in me, but then before I know it, I'm given the cold shoulder a few days later. Sorry, this was unrelated, but I just wanted to share my mysteriously terrible history. The point I'm making is that I have no self-esteem. I don't believe in myself at all. I don't really love myself. I don't think I'm good enough, especially for a woman. However, I've heard of women getting together with a man who has no self-esteem as well, but she believes in him. I know that I don't have such an amazing luck, but I've always wondered why. So yeah, anyways, my question is, how can I love myself? How can I, with zero self-esteem slash confidence slash belief, learn to believe in myself? How can I be a confident man? How can I not be disgusted with myself? How can I one day say, you know what? I think a woman might want to be with me one day. I think I'm a decent guy, not a man with no hope. Please help and thank you. Wow. That was so real. And we're going to be back with our advice after this break. We are back. We are back. And before I really dive into the advice, the person writing this said there are some women who believe in men with no self-esteem and they still believe in them. Um, Listen, that's very true. And you say you have no luck, but that might actually be a blessing in disguise. I know everyone wants to experience a relationship. I know everyone wants to do that. And when you feel excluded, you might feel like you're missing a big milestone in your life. I get it, but you don't actually want to be in that type of relationship where you have no self-esteem, your partner keeps pushing you. It's just like what I tell everyone here. You can't motivate someone to do something unless they themselves want to do it. Even though those relationships may seem good on the outside, on the inside, it's dreadful. So, and I think you have the right opinion. So, to start off with everything, we need to go to the beginning. Why do you not have self-esteem? And honestly, he's a man, but if you're a woman, this can definitely apply to you. If you find yourself in a situation where you're like, no one will ever love me, why should anyone be with me, why should I do this, why should I do that, you need to sit down and ask yourself, how did this all start? How did you get to this point where you felt you were not worthy enough for someone to be with you, or not worthy enough to accomplish this, or not worthy enough to accomplish that? It usually most of these stuff stem from childhood, okay? This stuff usually stem from childhood. Either you were bullied by your friends, your peers, or sometimes family. That happens. Or like someone continuously reinforce something. I'm pretty sure we've heard this before. Who told every single day they're stupid, they're not good enough, you're not good at this, you're a bad kid. That reinforcement will make the child feel, well, if I'm stupid, why try? Why push myself? Why be ambitious? I'm stupid. And sometimes I don't think, sometimes when it comes from family, I don't think it's intentional. And especially given some cultural background, there are some backgrounds, for example, African or Caribbean, some Asian, where they feel like enforcing these negative stuff in your life is going to push you to be better, but it's not. It never is. It just makes people feel insecure, as if they're not good enough. Like constantly telling people they're not good at something is not going to make them magically be good at something. There's some people who want to prove others wrong when they tell them, oh, you're not good at this. And then they're like, no, I'm going to be good at this. And then I'm going to show you. Yes, but that's the minority. I think most people think that's the majority. I'm trying to push you by telling you these cold hard truth, tough love, so that you can overcome. But most of the time, that is the minority. Most people will break down because they're looking at you as you are my loved one. For an example for this, it's like if it comes from a teacher or parent, you're an authority figure, you're older than me. From a child's perspective, right? You're an authority figure, you're older than a child. They think you know more about the world. So you saying they're not good at this, instead of them proving you wrong, they're gonna believe you because they're kids. They feel like, well, if my mom or my dad or my teacher is telling me I'm not good at this, then maybe I'm really not good at this. So that whole tough love thing, it doesn't work. And I've heard it so many times. And sometimes it's not even tough love. Sometimes it's just comparison. Oh my gosh, this is the worst. This is the absolute worst. It's comparison, where you have a younger kid or an older kid or multiple kids. Sometimes it can even be cousins, where a parent will say, "Oh, I wish you were more like Dave. I wish you were more like Helen. I wish you were more like Cynthia." And it's like, in the parent's mind, they're trying to push you to be their best. At least that's what I hear. They're trying to push you to be their best, but in your mind, you're like, well, damn, I guess I'm not good enough. I mean, I thought I was pretty great, but I guess that's not good enough. And if mom wants, not only does mom want me to be like this other kid or my sister or my brother, but children start internalizing that as, oh, I guess mom loves my brother more than me. And or dad loves my brother more than me. They don't really care about me that much. And this does not push kids to do more. Yet parents still do this. They still compare kids. They still do this stuff. And it's like, it does not work. If anything, you are limiting your child from reaching their true potential. And I don't know why I heard this quote, but I heard this recently. It's like, this is something I've heard. I don't really know where the quote is from, but, or maybe I'm paraphrasing this, but it's like, you can't judge a fish's ability by how well it flies, basically. It's like, you can't judge a fish's ability by how well it flies. If you pull a fish on water and you're like, on water, if you put a fish on land and you ask it to fly and it doesn't fly, and then you're like, oh my gosh, you're stupid, you're not good enough, you're not like that bird. Well, of course it's not. It's a fish. But if you put that fish in water, guess what? It's gonna swim so far ahead and you'll be like, what the freak? I didn't even know this. And parents keep comparing their children, thinking they're the same. They're not. One child will be able to fly, or one child will be much better at math. The other one is better at English. It just is what it is. But you can't look at the kid that's better at English and be like, you're not good enough just because you're not better at math. Like, you're limiting that child's potential by reinforcing all these negative stuff. And I get it. I understand. Most parents who tell their child or compare their children, it's not because they actually hate them. They want them to, they think they're preparing them to succeed because they think maybe pushing them in this direction will be much better in the future for them. But in the same breath, they are stifling and they're hindering that kid and locking them up in a box that is just like, they're not gonna be in this field. They're not going to be successful in this field. This is not something that motivates them. This is not something that they're happy doing. This is not something they want to do. Even that, like, just that is not something they want to do. And it's so difficult to get someone motivated when this is not something that they want to do. This is something that is being reinforced that they're bad at. This is something that whenever they try their best, people keep telling them it's not good enough. It's not like their sister or their brother. It just comes easy for them. This is not the way to do it. But if you leave them, and I know it can be scary. It's like, if you leave them to find their way, do their own thing, and eventually find something they're good at, you really see it's not that your kid is bad. It's not that they're not good at this or that they're stupid. It's just that they have skills in another field that, yes, you may not know, you may not see the future in it, but they can truly be a pioneer in that field and make a difference in the world. It's not just one road to success. And in some cultures, that road to success is doctor, lawyer, engineer. If you're from that culture, you know what it is. And it's like, there's only 3 paths. But we fail to see the grand picture of this life is meant for us to explore. This life is meant for us to find our way, discover new stuff. And it's not just 3 paths to being successful. It's not just 3 paths to being accomplished. There are multiple paths, and some paths we haven't even discovered because people are too busy comparing their kids. I apologize for that. My camera cut again. I'm getting a new camera, but it's like, it's gonna have to take a while. I'm sorry, bear with me. I'm not re-recording because it's like, that was such a great thought. I'm not re-recording. I don't know where it cut, so we're just gonna roll with it, with this one. But yeah, so we're back. The video should be back. If you're watching this on YouTube, I do apologize, but we're gonna be here for a while, for a couple of episodes, because new camera is coming in, and hopefully, like, it's just, please bear with me, all right? But yeah, so going back to the story, I think for this man, it's important for him to see where this lack of self-love and self-esteem stemmed from. Unfortunately, it can stem from anywhere, but like, he has to do the introspection and really look at his life and look at where it stems from. And if you can't do that, therapy is always a great option, okay? I've said this, and I'm probably going to say this on multiple episodes. If you can go to therapy, please go to therapy. This is not a replacement for therapy. This may be an introduction or something that pushes you forward or something that pushes you toward therapy, but do not use this as a replacement for therapy. I'm just here to shed some light and give you a different perspective. But yeah, Therapy is great. This is not a replacement for therapy. So please, if you need to, go to therapy. But as I was saying, I think we need to start at the basis. We need to start at the foundation. Where did this all begin? It's usually childhood, but if you're in a similar situation as this man, again, if you're a woman, the same thing will apply. You just have to sit down with yourself and really see, how did this all begin? Where did your lack of self-love or self-esteem come from? When did you first start feeling as if you weren't worthy enough? What came about? What happened? Is it because of what you heard, or where did this all begin? And then once you figured that first point out, now you need to ask yourself, is it true? And this is the most difficult part. Because, I mean, figuring it out is already difficult because you have to look inside of yourself, be introspective, and you might revisit some wounds that you won't like. I completely agree with that. If it's too difficult, please pace yourself and take your time. There are a lot of, I'm pretty sure lately, we see all these people accomplishing these great feats at such young ages, and it's great and it's fantastic and it's wonderful. But I don't want you guys to rush the process, because the process of living, discovering yourself, and learning what it means to be alive, learning what it means to live a fulfilling life, is a long process. It takes time and patience, and some days you might go backwards, and that is perfectly okay. It's not a forward straight line. You do this, that, this. There's a lot of curves, because life is complex. There's a lot of curves, there's a lot of turbulence. So I really want to reassure you guys, if you are on this path and if you have listened to this podcast for a while, I may or may not have emphasized this before, I don't know, but this is a long process that is going to take time. Don't go into this thinking that in the next year, next couple of years, or even some ridiculous stuff like next week, you're going to be. No. This is going to take time. It's going to take introspection. You basically have to learn to rediscover yourself and undo every single thing that has happened throughout your childhood. It's going to take some time, which is why you cannot compare yourself to others. Finding yourself and discovering your purpose in life, you cannot compare yourself to another person. It goes back to the same analogy I was saying about judging a fish's skill based on how well it flies. If you're a fish, your friend is a bird, yes, they're both animals. Are they both mammals? I think so. They're both animals, and they may even both be mammals. But guess what? One is better at flying, the other one is better at swimming. You cannot compare yourself to another person. Even other quote-unquote people you think are fishes or birds. But anyway, going back to the point. So first, you need to discover the root cause. Where did it all start? When did it begin? Did it begin in childhood? It's usually childhood, but it may not have been childhood. It might be this one person you fell in love with, you thought they were the best thing after sliced bread, but they just kept reinforcing these negative stuff on you. So it depends. It could have been a mentor you really looked up to, but then they kept putting you down, and you feel like, if this person that I put on the pedestal is so great and they're telling me all these negative stuff about myself, then it has to be true because of how great they are. But regardless, so identify where it all began. And then you have to sit with yourself. And then you have to ask yourself the pivotal question: is this true? And I can guarantee to you right now, the answer is no. The answer is no. It is not. Most of the time, it is not true, because most people can only see life through their perspective. It's very difficult for you to see life through another person's perspective. You can empathize with other people. You can try to understand other people as much as you can. But truly seeing life from another person's perspective is very difficult. Even if you're both women, even if you're from the same race, Even if you have been raised in the same household, it can be very difficult to see life through another person's perspective. This is why some people don't get along well with their siblings because they don't understand the other person's perspective. Like these things can be really complex. So you need to sit down and then ask yourself, is this true? And like I said, most of the time, the answer is no. Most of the time, the answer is no because that person is looking at you through their perspective, through their experience, through their culture, their family, their friends, their life experience, their path in the world. Someone who's maybe parents are well off, they can empathize with you not having to struggle during your childhood, but are they truly going to understand the depth of your struggle? Maybe not. And that's okay. And they may not completely understand why you can't do this thing that for them it's so easy to do. So you really need to sit down and ask yourself, what were these statements about me not being enough, me not being worthy, me being stupid, me lacking skills in this discipline, me never finding love, or me being a bad person, whatever it is. Are these stuff true, or was that person just projecting their own lives on me? Because that can also be the case. Some people may see the negative qualities in themselves in another person. Some people may see qualities in themselves in another person that they themselves don't like. And then they start projecting it on you as if you are the bad person because they do not like those qualities in them. And in them, it may really be a bad thing, but in you, those same qualities may be a different thing because life is like that. People are different. People are just different. Even in the same family, people are different. So you need to sit yourself. How is this question true? What perspective has this person seen themselves? Is it projection? Is it seeing some aspect in their life that maybe outsiders have reinforced these qualities or habits as bad? So now they're seeing it in you and they're projecting it onto you even though they're not bad. Is that what's happening? Is it them misunderstanding you because they only see you in a particular light? For example, a math teacher, again, going back to the analogy, a math teacher might think you're a bad student because you're bad at math, you don't really like it, so and you're bad at it, and they keep telling you you're bad at it, which reinforces the fact of you not even wanting to participate. Are they seeing you from a limited view? Like that math teacher is looking at you and be like, oh, Jake is a bad student. But then the English teacher sees how you're participating, you're engaged, you help your classmate, you stay for after school lessons, and they're like, oh my gosh, Jake is my favorite student, best student ever. Are they looking at you from a limited point of view? Because that can also affect how all of these work. And I understand as children, it's very difficult. A child's mind is not going to break all of these stuff down because they're just happy. You guys know how children are just happy and innocent and they go about the world. So when people put all these stuff in a child's mind, as a kid, you're just going to accept that this is true. But now that you're an adult and you're feeling all these emotions of lack of self-esteem, lack of worth, lack of self-love, you really have to identify, were these stuff true? And like I said, most of the time, they're not. And once you figure out that they're not, this is really when you go on a journey of finding out what was true. Is it just that you're not interested in math and you like English more? Is it just that you don't really like this thing, but you like this thing and you're more likely to apply yourself in this thing? Is that what's happening? Is it that your skills are showing up in a different way and not in another way? So that's really where, I guess I call it the magic happen, of where you really get to the starting line of your life and figuring out stuff that you like, that you don't like, and again, align yourself with stuff that you like, And the stuff that you don't like, you can try to better yourself at it if you want. Not because mom and dad said this is good, not because of another person, but because of you. Because you actually want to do those stuff. For whatever reason it is. It could just be for fun. It could just be to push yourself. It could be for any reason. But yeah, this life is so difficult. And every day I learn something new and I try to share it with you guys as much as I can. But usually lack of esteem and lack of confidence does stem from people just misunderstanding who you are and what you have to bring to the table. And it does not mean that who you are and what you have to bring to the table is lesser than. It just means from their perspective, they don't get it. And it's okay for them to not get it. As long as you get it, that's fine. They don't actually have to get it. As long as you get it and you know that, oh, I'm good at this, I don't really have to worry. Like, that's when, like, the world really opens up to you. And even though some people may be like, oh, well, Stacey's a spaz, she's not really good at this. You'll be like, yeah, sure, I'm not. But I'm good at this. So what's your point? And you know what? Magical things happen there. But yeah, so for this man and for anyone feeling with lack of self-esteem, lack of self-control, I just ask you guys to really be introspective, look at your life and see if these negative stuff that was said about you were actually true. And I can guarantee you, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it's not. It's not. All right, so we are going to move to the next story of the episode. All right, so we're just going to dive into the second story of the episode. And the title is, I've developed a friendship with my boss's son, and now everyone thinks we're dating. Okay, so I'm a 26-year-old woman, and I have developed a friendship over the course of my job with my boss's son, a 31-year-old man. We stay late at the office every day, so we have conversations. Parentheses, the basic stuff, movies, music, etc. We only talk openly when everyone has left to keep things professional. We went out to eat and watch a musical, and the next day another coworker asked me what I had done the previous night. I answered, and she said, interesting. Boss's son said the same thing. Did you see him? I said maybe he went to another one, and I walked away. I never really thought anything about it. We kept going out and talking. He came to my office and said, see you later tonight. Parentheses, we were going to another musical. We did not see that there was another employee right outside the office. So he smiled and said goodnight. I saw her face, and it said everything she was thinking. I don't know if I should clear the air or ignore the looks. Wow, very interesting. We'll be back with our advice after this break. We are back, and well, we're not live, but yeah. Anyways, we are back. And don't try to clear the air. Honestly, ignore the looks. That's my advice here. Ignore the looks and don't try to clear the air. Because like clearing the air is just going to make it sound even more like something is going on and you're trying to avoid it. It's none of their business. It's not, the relationship does not involve them. And they're looking for drama. Some people are bored at work and they just want drama. Okay? Don't try to clear the air. However, I do want you to firmly establish that this is a friendship with your boss's son. Here's why. I've had this, and I'm pretty sure some ladies have had this, and if you had the similar thing, just put them in the comments for everyone to see. But when I've seen this and I've had this, and yeah, when there's a woman and a man at work and they're really friendly, for some reason, some people don't believe it's just friendship. They think it's more. Like your coworker here is saying, like, interesting and stuff like this. And the thing about this is that can really damage the friendship between the both of you, because it can make either you or the other partner believe that, oh, maybe this person is really friendly with me because they actually like me, or because they actually feel this way. And then it makes them feel uncomfortable, or maybe it might excite them in a way. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, for example, if you're friendly with man who works with you, he's really devoted to his wife, and then people keep pointing jabs as, oh, she's only doing this because she actually likes you, or she's only talking to you like this because she actually likes you. It's like, what is it? It's like that thing, right? When you're a kid and then someone does something nice to you, and then someone comes to your ear, or a friend comes to your ear and says, he's only doing that because he has a crush on you, right? And then you start imagining this, like, oh my gosh, this little boy likes me. It's the same thing. Unfortunately, these things don't change. People don't learn how to be adult. So that is why I want to tell you, if you're in a similar situation, or if this is you, please establish and make boundaries in that relationship right now, despite the gossip. Tell your friend that this is just a friendship, this is just a platonic relationship. You enjoy having a conversation with them, you respect them as an individual, and you really like the friendship. Please establish this as a friendship, because this can easily turn, because people talk and gossip and they have no idea what's happening in your relationship, but they just keep talking because they're bored of work. Okay, so that's why I'm giving you this advice. Tell your friend that this is just a friendship, nothing more. You really like who they are as a person. You really enjoy having a conversation with them. You like the what's it called? You like the ideas and the way they like talk about movies and how it may be different than yours or similar to yours, and you really like having that connection as a friend. Emphasize as a friend, because all of this word gossip can make them seem as though you may have more than just platonic feelings for them, and that will change your dynamic. Either they might start feeling uncomfortable because they already have a partner that they love, and they also love having you as a friend. They love your perspective, and now they're like, oh my gosh, maybe I should pull away so that she doesn't get the wrong idea, or he doesn't get the wrong idea. That just damages the whole thing, when in the beginning it was always meant to be a friendship, nothing more. So really, reassure your friend, reassure your boss's son, reassure your friend that this is a friendship. It is nothing more. You like the way they think, you like the conversation both of you have, you like the way they see the world, whatever you guys do together. You like that, you enjoy that, and you enjoy being their friend. Yeah, because like word gossip can really, really mess people up. So that's my only advice. But like the girl, ignore her. You don't have to explain anything to anyone in your office. Your relationship, your friendship with your boss's son does not concern them at all. You don't have to worry about them. Just ignore them. They're gonna gossip. They're gonna talk about this, talk about that. But just reassure your friend that you see them as a friend. You value their time. You value their insight, and you want to continue the friendship. That's it. That is all. And after you've said that, that's it. That's all you can do. Just make that clear. And I know as women, it can be really difficult for us to make some stuff clear, but like, try to do that. Really I think it's healthy for both genders to be friend with the opposite gender, to kind of get that perspective. Just like we talked about in the first story. It can be very difficult for you to completely understand somebody else's perspective. And I think like having a friend who is of a different gender than you, or different race, different culture, blah blah blah, is going to make you into a more well-rounded individual. That's just my belief. You may agree with that or not. It's up to you, but that's what I think. So I'm all for you guys being friends with women and men. And I know some people are like, men and women can't be friends. I'm like, really? Well, okay. But yeah, anyway, that is it for this episode, and we'll see you guys next Sunday. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to that episode. And what did you guys think? I really like I really think a lot of people will benefit from the first episode. And I know we've talked at length about self-worth, self-love, and all those stuff, but I feel like I was able to give a different perspective. Even amongst my video, I feel like this perspective was so different, even on the topic we've already talked about. So Please let us know if you agree, disagree, or whatever you have to add to the conversation. And the second topic is just people at work are nosy. People at work are nosy. If you have worked anywhere, it doesn't even matter. You would know people at work are nosy and they're bored. I don't know what is up. It's like you would think you have work to do, so why are you bored? But people work at nosy, people work bored. So that's why I gave that advice of not caring what they have to say, but telling the person you're in a friendship with and reassuring them that this is just a friendship and it's nothing more, nothing less. I mean, it's nothing more, okay? And you really value the time. So that's where the advice came from. All right. And next week we have two wonderful stories. The first story is really intense. I might be giggling like a schoolgirl in there. You might be, why, Paula? It's a hard one. You're just gonna have to come and listen to it. And the second story is from a woman who is being belittled by one of her male friends. Those are always something. But yeah, those are next week's stories. And if those interest you, then make sure you come back here wherever you're listening to this. If it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, just make sure you come back here next Sunday. We release our episodes every Sunday at the same time, which is 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, and if you have any stories you would like our advice on, you can always send us an email at kitchentableadvice@gmail.com. We love reading your stories, and maybe one of your stories will be featured on our episode. And again, please don't forget to subscribe, like this, give us a review, preferably a 5-star review, whether you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you comment, like this video, and we'll see you guys next Sunday. Bye.